Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. Welcome to a fresh episode of The Energy of Houses and Properties. Let's just see if Aisha is already there so I can invite her. There she is. Sure. Yeah, there she comes. Good morning.
Are we still having a really bad delay?
There is a delay. And I was watching your rant for a couple of days ago, and it was delayed all over the place. So I had to watch the replay. So something's going on.
Yeah, it must be my internet. I deleted a whole bunch of files off my phone and cleared my caches and everything. And yeah, this is strange.
The audio is good though.
Yeah, I wonder if I actually have a portable internet thing. I'm just gonna turn this on while we speak and see if I can. Are you hearing me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you perfect.
Okay, it seems to be a bit better now, but I might be able to use this thing. It's just this thing.
Mm-hmm.
We got it for the tiny houses because we're not connected to the grid, the system with the tiny houses, and so we needed to get one of these portable devices. I mean, my intuition was very right about these things. I didn't actually want to get it. It gives me really big headaches, this thing. And so what I've been doing is I'm trying it, doing some like magic where I put some black tourmaline stones around it and I'm just like talking to it, basically go, you stay there, don't come in here. Like just some very primitive, primitive energetic work. Um, but yeah, I'm curious if anyone who's watching this or if you've experienced this, Nikki. I'm sure like Valentina, who was on our in the series, knows all about these because she's the building biology and EMF expert. But I get it also with Bluetooth. Do you notice that, Nikki, with Bluetooth?
Well, personally, I don't have big issues with electromagnetic fields, which is a benefit,
Yeah,
I think. But I
that's
do know
totally
that
about
people
it.
can be very disturbed by it. And um, as far as I can tell, often people are more disturbed by the idea of electromagnetic stress than the electromagnetic stress itself. And
Yeah.
with knowing that, I do know that there are differences in how the biology changes of a cell by the influence of electrosmoke. But it depends on how sensitive it is and how big your idea is. And an idea is a programming. And yes, sometimes it's much easier to, have an external fix instead of reprogramming yourself against the type of energy. Like smoking
Yeah.
cigarettes. It may be easier to stop smoking than to program your whole body to be able to handle the toxic stuff that is in a cigarette.
Yeah. It's a good example, Nikki. Really great example. Um, And I think, I think you also mentioned it. Really, there are some people who are much more sensitive to it than others. But I've also seen more extremes where people are so paranoid about the electromagnetic smog. And I think that that's what you're getting at, where there's like layers of protection and the
Mm-hmm.
screen and um, like just be getting very paranoid about it, and that can be a bit too much. But I think just from a really objective perspective, you know, I generally am more sensitive, like I'm very sensitive to sounds as well, especially these days. And this thing really does generate quite a lot of heat and emits quite a lot. So I'm experimenting with it too, to put it maybe a little bit further away. And then again, I actually found that through the intention of placing just a few tiny black tourmaline stones around it, a friend of mine even talked about a potato, like that potatoes have the ability to absorb the EMF, and just, you know, simply not making a big deal out of it, give it instructions and play with it, you know, make it fun. I think that that's, you know, I was really stepping into today, and I was tuning into like, what energy do I want to step into this talk with Nicky with, and I'm just like, you know what, fun, exploration, experimentation, try it on, create your personal power space by experimenting with one room in your house, a balcony, and just start creating with joy and fun and experiment. Yeah, how you feel with certain objects around you, with certain influences around you, and yeah, that's great. You reinforced a lot too for me. I've had that in the past where I get paranoid, or paranoid maybe isn't the right word. Too worried about it, you know, the effects of this cell phone tower, and worried about the, you know, certain things in the environment that could cause you harm, worried about certain foods, you know. And the more I stepped into playfulness, being more playful and filled with joy, and having a sense of humor about our human condition,
Yeah.
then things start to unfold in a much smoother and flowing way. Yeah.
Yeah, and these, because it's such a tiny object, it's perfect to experiment with, because it is possible by creating protection fields with or without crystals to generate an effect, and that effect might have even a beneficial effect on you instead of a negative one.
Nicky, can you explain a little bit more what you mean about doing the crystal grids? You're not talking about necessarily in relation to putting it around the EMF. Sorry, around the.
It is a way of playing with it.
Okay.
Like you said, putting a grid around it from black tourmaline or potato or whatever your choice of crystal is.
Socks. You could put socks.
Yeah, well, yeah. I remember, you know, you can do with any kind of object. Of course, a crystal is way more sexy than, you know, half-empty bottle of beer. But it works with half-empty bottles of beer as well. You can change the energy of a space just by focusing an energy field on a specific object. That's basically what happens with creating amulets as well. You put the prayer inside this amulet, which is basically designating some kind of energy programming to an object. And why shouldn't you make your EMFs programming for your well-being instead of
if we have the power to do it, if we have the power to do it through our consciousness. Yeah. And Nicky, what I'm finding, go ahead.
But it takes a lot of shifting mindsets, especially if you are very scared of this type of energy.
Right. Right, exactly. And then it starts to become this thing that you've talked about, which I really appreciate, about like creating the protection around the home. And you posed this great question the last time we spoke about it. It's like, yeah, but like, what if, like the act of creating that protection around you, um, it automatically implies that you need protecting, and that there's always going to be this kind of tug and war, or to push and pull between you and that energy that you need protection from, right? And you could be actually playing the broken record of a story that you've been carrying along for eons, right? But but with this example, yeah, like it's so true. It's like, oh my God, like the energy could be this, right? It could be like, I've got to use this thing. This is so bad for me and my family. Um, like the statistics show, the statistics show that more EMF is causing more cancer, and it's gonna give me more and more headaches. Like, this is such a painful thing that I have to do, and then put a crystal around it. Like, oh my God, Nikki told me that I have to put the amethyst with this, with this, with this, with this around it, right? Okay, so there's that energy, right? Like, oh my God, right? We got to do this because somebody told me that we have to do it. Or it's like, you could just go like, interesting, right? Like, interesting. This thing is causing me some headaches. It's causing me some discomfort. On one hand, you can look at the both sides, right? On one hand, oh, look how compact it is. Look at, I can put it in my pocket and I can just walk around and connect to the internet from wherever I want to go. Um, and it's so cool that I can have Zoom meetings from the tiny houses with this thing, with this awesome thing that technology has provided us. To help the evolution in consciousness. Why not? And then just go, okay, yeah, but it's making me sensitive because this energy, it's like my energy body is not quite prepared for this amount of EMF or energy.
Yet.
Yeah, exactly, Nikki, exactly. And then with that playful approach, put the potato next to it, put the crystal, yeah, there's such a different quality, right? That just then to be playful with it and say, yeah, technology, you're awesome, right? Yeah, this is great. This is a really important distinction.
And
yeah,
it is perfectly okay to acknowledge the fact that you may not be a person that can be around technical energy 24/7.
yes.
And then you should really take your responsibility and rest whatever you need to do that. Take time off this energy. But like with every energy you are identifying, let it just be an observation, like, oh, that's interesting, but don't put everything inside of your body, because then you make it solid, and something that is solid, that could grow and that could affect your well-being.
Something that is solid could grow and affect your well-being. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Because
so
if you make it solid, if you give it a huge meaning, like the meaning in this case, this black object is really bad, which is only a point of view. If you make that really solid, you go either in alignment with it or in resistance of it. And both is a way of solidifying that perspective. And if something is solid, it's basically stuck. And when it's stuck, it blocks.
Yeah. Love it. How many ideas and concepts we get stuck in, right? Because they're solid and they can really affect our environments, our relationships, our health. I was actually talking about that on one of my rants recently.
Yeah.
Right? Like these static accumulated thought forms, right?
Mm-hmm.
That people are, you know, it's like people are just passing that solid form, that solid thought form onto the next, like the broken telephone game, or maybe it's not broken, it's actually linked, and then, you know, it just gets regurgitated and regurgitated and regurgitated. I do it too. It's part of it's part of our mind, right? It's part of how our mind works.
Everybody, it's always the yin yang perspective. You know, do you choose to live or do you choose to die? And if you stop growing, you're dying.
Oh, it's Nikki, my assistant. She's like, oh my God, Nikki has the best quotes. My assistant was supporting me in, you know, bringing quotes from all my, you know, my awesome guests and stuff. She's like, Nikki's like the #1 quotes woman, you know. So there again, just watch the video again and you can pull some more quotes out. I love it. Yeah. What was it again? Can you repeat what you just said?
No, I have to know.
Streams here in the moment. Make it into a quote. Yeah, it's so powerful, Nikki. It's, yeah, something about the growing, right? If we're dead, we can't grow. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
If you stop developing, because the only constant is change, and if you stop changing, you're dying. So do you choose to live or do you choose to die? And
wow. Boom.
When you become more and more aware of energies and your own body, because just before we were opening up this talk, I was reading about observing space, and it's impossible to observe space if you are not familiar with your own body. Yeah. So you have to use your body to be able to observe space. And that's the only way. So the better you know your own body, the better you are able to shape space. And that's right up your alley, I guess. So anything you can do to get familiar with your own body, do it. Because that will help you keep evolving and growing and changing and be able to make the changes that are necessary for you. So if you are aware of that some specific kind of EMF is hurting you, you can take measures by listening to your body to change that and rest from this particular energy, because the energy is not going to disappear all of a sudden. It's impossible to hide from it. You can't.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. So either you have to grow and evolve and deal with it in one way or another, whatever your choice of tool is, or die. And then you become this really unhappy, sick person that lives on top of a mountain somewhere with no connections anywhere, which is, in my point of view, but that's only a point of view, a sad way to live. Some people might be really happy with that, but I think it's a shame that you cannot go into town because you are really hurt and you have to wear all these kinds of shielding clothes in order to do some groceries, which is really something that blocks you from living your life. But That's the way I see it.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, these are all moments to learn from ourselves and to go deeper, right? And to do that inner work and to investigate. You know, why is this happening, right? And yeah, I really appreciate what you're talking about you can't be fully aware of your environment if you're not fully aware of your body. That your body isn't awake. You've been doing cold swims, and actually I'm thinking about Wim Hof, right? The Iceman. And I'm still gonna start doing the cold swims. I'm almost there. It's right there.
Do it.
The
Just
water's
do it.
there.
Don't say you should do it.
Yeah, it's true. I'm going to. But what I did experience when I was doing the cold showers is the fire within you. That's at least how I feel. There's a fire that ignites within you, and you really become awake. Your whole body becomes awake. And I wanted to touch on as well, to talk a bit more about this. Being aware of your body helps you to be more aware of your environment and your space. Many years back, I was really tapping into the different qualities and nodes and could say chakras. I just see them as like these shining points or this kind of sphere around the heart. And the heart has such a strong, amazing capability to sense space. I actually sense these days a lot more through my solar plexus, but it's different for everyone. It could be the soles of your feet, you could be hearing, you could be smelling, whatever it is. But what I'm making the distinction with, though, is it's not about thinking about awakening your body or thinking that your body needs to be in a certain state to experience. It's to actually really drop down into your multi-dimensional body to really sense things simultaneously around you, in the back, on the sides, in the front, and really the qualities of what's going on around you. There's an exercise that I have designed in the Sacred Blueprint online course that is, and it came through me. I'm sure that there's exercises similar to this, where you are, it's called the inner compass exercise, and you stand in the middle of a room or in the middle of a property. I used an example of the property, and you imagine this huge clock around you. A huge clock around you, 12 o'clock, you know, like the pilots, you know, 6 o'clock, 1 o'clock, right? And just by using this tool of imagination, imagining that you're almost like at the center of the sundial, right? And listen to what is coming from 2 o'clock. Listen to what is coming from 11 o'clock. Mm-hmm. Listen to what's coming from 3 o'clock. And there's a couple more steps before that I guide people on to be able to enter into that state of consciousness and to ask the right questions for the right information to come from the spirit of the land. But it's so about that, what you're saying, you know, to really, you know, that your body you're an inner compass. You're a compass. Yeah.
So next time I'm going to swim, I'm going to do this exercise, you know, step into these bodies further, because you just because you told me this story, I became aware of, okay, I'm very aware of my body and the immediate surroundings where I'm at, but I could extend way further. And now I'm comfortable enough with the cold and the technique of swimming and my own body to be able to do that. So it is not a one-time try and you can do everything. You know, as people who were watching this probably know, that I've been swimming now for almost a year every day. It takes practice, so don't give up. Keep on practicing. Same with, you know, playing with the energies in your house around EMFs. Don't give up. Keep on trying. So yeah, we can talk about it next time, what it, you know, brings me.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
interesting, because
And I
I'm
mean,
outside and yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
I've got messages popping in and stuff. Hold on. Ugh. It's like popping over my phone. Yeah, absolutely.
And
Nikki,
you can do that with
yeah,
basically any sports you're doing, because doing sports and exercise is a very good way for grounding. You don't have to
yeah,
necessarily sit on a chair and do this meditation and growing the roots out of your feet. It's also possible. But if you are a
yeah,
runner, go do it while you run. But be aware of the wind on your skin and the breaths you take and the temperature of your body and all those things. It will
yeah.
help you to know the space around
When you were talking about that, describing the runner and being conscious of your body and the wind and the elements, and being conscious of how you actually make contact with the earth when you're running, and that's another form of meditation. An image of a fitness center just down the street from me came, and so many people are working out completely detached from their
you.
bodies.
Mhm.
Completely. They've got television screens, they've got the music, they're like, okay, when is this going to be over? When is this going to be over? They've got their phones, like right there, or you can
Yeah.
actually even see that they're not breathing properly. You
Yeah.
see a lot of runners too, where their shoulders are hunched over, and it's like, okay, is this helping you, or is this, killing you? Right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
You could, by awareness, you can, out of your daily stuff, your daily routines, you can get so much more than you would if you just lived from here. If you live from your whole body, you would gain a lot of energy.
yeah, yeah. I find also, Nikki, that it's even more important now as we're stepping into this new paradigm, whatever this is, this new paradigm, right? A new way of looking at things in a more holistic perspective,
Mm-hmm.
understanding the connections and the relationships between things, and understanding, okay, well, maybe this event in my past resulted in this, and maybe actually I shouldn't be blaming everybody, and taking a look at my insides to
Mm-hmm.
understand the bigger picture. That's an example of unity consciousness. That's an example of the kinds of consciousness we're stepping into, and to understand that our house is directly connected with our body, and our body is directly connected to our house. But what I'm finding more and more is that there is generally, and I would have to do a lot of backup and research, and use the right language to give you explanations about it. But right now, it feels like time is moving quite, or that the world is moving quite fast. There's a general sense of things moving faster, at least in my perception, and many people are experiencing this. And what I'm finding helping the most really is to get into my body more and more and more, to get to be ever more anchored, and also which is so important. You're going to be faced with a lot of things that challenge you, challenge your growth in these times. And you're going to be required to have, and this could be another conversation, this is also up in my space, you're going to require discernment. Discernment. Really to be careful about your choices, who you give your energy to or give your time to, who you don't, what projects you take on, which projects you don't take on, making decisions even daily within your home. What am I going to put my energy to, or whatever. I think all of what you're talking about, Nikki, and what we've been discussing today about the importance of body consciousness really helps you to ground and to be able to make easeful, fluid decisions and to know what is best for you. Is this making any sense? Like I'm just seeing the anchor, right? That the body and doing the body work brings. Yeah.
I think that the key word here is really discernment, because, well, actually the world is not really spinning way faster than before. But the difference is there's so much more information accessible on an individual level. You know, that little black box you showed gives you the opportunity to know what's, you know, around the corner happening 5,000 miles away. You know, 50 years ago, there was no possibility to know that, let alone worry about it or have an influence on it. So there is so much more information. So you need to be able to be more, let it just be an observation and choose your battles, basically. There's so much more to choose from, and maybe that's also the reason why there are so much more sensitive people now, because there is just more information, and we're not really programmed to deal with all of that. We need to learn about that. So it's even more important to be aware of your own body, to be aware of your own purpose in life. So what energy do you want to follow? Do you want to express in the world? And maybe it's a lot harder for some people. So why are there so many high sensitive people burned out? Yeah. Maybe that it could be a reason.
Yeah. No, amazing. Yeah, absolutely. It's such a huge factor. The speed at which information is flowing, into our lives.
Then I say, to keep things easy, you can only influence yourself in your direct environment. Look at your home, start there, and then worry about that corner 5,000 miles away from you.
Yeah. Something I thought of in my interview with Kata Trong, who's the creator of the mind space method. She gave an example of actually having a balance between modern furniture, like that has just been off the assembly line, with some old pieces. That the old furniture, there's a slower energy to it, and it helps you to kind of come down. But if your whole house is like filled with antiques, right, that's a bit too much, right? So and it depends on your character and stuff. But I just thought it was such a beautiful way of explaining it. It's so true. The newer furniture, no matter what shape or style it is, the ones that are right off the assembly line, there is a speed to them. There's a speed, faster energy to them. So, I mean, I really invite everyone, first of all, to check out her book and her course, and love supporting the women in this interview series. because she goes through it in much more depth in her book and her online course. But like, start playing, everyone, right? Like, I feel like I'm getting into a stage where I'm just like wanting to create and do and experiment with, you know, how different pieces of furniture feel in different spaces. What do I do when I move this table? Do some dusting. I've got some cobwebs that I've been staring at for a long time. Right? Like, start moving your body and start creating this this personal power space, right? That you call, Nikki, with your intuition. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking what else could we add to this? It's a really important subject.
I think we can also take it up in a next conversation too.
Yeah, because it's the basis of any energy work, if you ask me. And I was
Yeah.
wondering while you were explaining about what Kata told in her interview with you, it might also be a good idea to have some handmade furniture or bowls or vases, you know, ceramics or woodworks, because a good carpenter
Yeah.
knows the energy of his material, and maybe not always on a very conscious level, but on the creation level. And you feel the difference, even if you are not sensitive at all for energies, or you define yourself as not sensitive at all. You will see the difference. You know the difference when it's,
Yeah.
you know, an IKEA bowl or something that is made in an oven, and somebody spent, I don't know how long it takes to create a bowl, but at least half an hour, I think. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But it's a different
Yeah.
kind of energy. It's like cooking, you know, you taste the love in food too.
Yeah. Yeah. Such an important point, Nikki. And that's a big piece of what I've been bringing forward in this impulse of bringing the life, the spirit back to buildings in a contemporary way,
Mm.
right? Where there isn't a, you know, a prescribed plan of the way it should look. Oh, you've got to use these sacred geometries and the plan needs to look like this and that. No, no, it's, you know, each plan grows in a different way depending on the client, depending on the environment and the site. And, but to bring the breath of life to buildings in some way, shape, or form, even if you have an existing structure like you know, fairly rigid, you can bring life to it with your furniture, right? With the colors of that you use on the walls. But to always bring some kind of an element that brings joy, maybe even humor, it may be even an imperfect bowl of some kind, but to move away from this assembly line, machine-like interiors or residences. I mean, we see so much of these in the high up, you know, the residences that are being designed in Turkey, where it's like you walk in and it's like everything is either the laminate, the wood floors are not really wood floors, they're some kind of hybrid laminate engineered, and a little bit of that is okay. Sure, sometimes it's so nice to see a super slick kitchen with like really, you know, high tech cupboards, and that's fine. But to balance it, right? To balance it with what you're talking
And
about is
even
so
even then, even, you know, in just a concrete building, you can put in some of these slower vibes, not just by furniture, but just by influencing the concrete. You just have to connect to the concrete and, you know, change the energy of it.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. Not everybody can do it. I can do it, and I'm sure you can do it, but not everybody can do it. It is really a specific kind of craft to change materials. But it is possible. It's not impossible.
I think of the alchemists, Nikki, right? Like converting lead to gold, right?
Exactly.
It's possible. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
To be continued, Nikki, to be continued.
Yeah.
I just want to answer, is it Fenike who's joined that's asking the question about Kata's book?
Yeah.
Hi, Fenike. Kata's book is available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. I think it's only digital. I don't know if she has the paper copies.
No, it's only digital. Yeah, she told me.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's only digital, but get it. I know I hesitate. So I don't like reading on the screen so much, but I bought all of her books anyway because they're amazing. Oh my God, really great books. Yeah. All right, Nikki, this was such a great conversation. Yeah, starting with this little gadget.
Yeah. Yeah, if you haven't seen the whole thing, just watch the replay because it's really interesting stuff we are talking about. I'm surprised every time what comes up.
Yeah.
So we just keep on going and keep us sending your questions if you have any, and any comments, please below, and we'll read them and answer them if necessary, or discuss them in the next one in 2 weeks. And then it's back on Aisha's channel.
Yeah.
And you are launching a masterclass, aren't you? This weekend or the next?
I am. Yes, thanks for asking. Yes, it will be held October 10th and 11th for women architects and designers. And I will be giving an introduction to the Sacred Blueprint system in a group vessel that will be very organic and interactive, and I'll be guiding the group on how to do easeful and joyful project planning through an intuitive and co-creative approach by connecting with the spirit of the land, connecting with your feminine intuition, and I feel like it's going to be so much more even than that, like gathering these women to co-create the future architecture and to see and to allow for new visions to come in, for new ways of living and new ways of designing. So I'm really, really excited. It's each day it's a 3-hour session with a break in between. And women get access to the recordings. Some of the women that have already joined, actually most of them are all joining live, but there's a couple who, they have fast-paced lives, they're working, so they get access to the recordings as well, if they can't, if you can't make it live for each session. So yes, you can buy your ticket via my link tree in my bio. So yeah, I'm really excited about it.
All right. Well, thank you for joining again, and talk to you soon then.
Talk to you soon, Nikki. It was great.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Take care. Until next time.